Hello, yes people. I'm Claire, and I'm one half of the one, the only, the best podcast to hit your ears since podcasts were invented way back in
Claire,
the early
that might
noughties.
be a bit too much.
No such thing.
But we are sure that a lot of you do love us and we love you back. In any case, I'm the other half of the Yes Girls. I'm Akumu, and together we are
The Yes Girls.
So we are two Nairobi-based Wanderlusters who are making it our mission to say yes to doing, being, and learning something different every 2 weeks. And then we document our journeys. So this podcast is a strange but very interesting result of us saying yes to sometimes challenging, sometimes fun, sometimes entertaining, and sometimes downright outrageous experiences.
You know, Akumu, on second thoughts, I shouldn't have said that we are the one, the only, because actually we pride ourselves on sending an open invitation out to all our listeners and supporters to also be Yes Girls. And
True.
we know that. So this podcast is inspiring many of you out there to in turn say yes to doing, being, or learning something new. And we are so proud of and delighted for you all.
If only I could take a snapshot of this moment and exactly how you said it and frame it.
Well, I guess the idea of a podcast is that we kind of are taking a memory of this moment, no?
No. I mean an image, like an actual image.
Uh-huh.
And maybe we can really work on that image and make it truly representative of the message we are trying to convey.
I see what you're doing here. You're giving us a clue about what this episode is about, right?
Of course.
And I think you've captured it very well.
Why, thank you. That's the whole point. And yes, indeed, it's a big clue to today's episode. If you remember, we are really honing in on 21st century skills that can make you more employable, healthier, and even more in tune with the current day and age that we live in. And in the episode before this one, if you recall, we said yes to being yoginis. That's the female version of a yogi. And for this episode, we are
saying yes to learning photography.
Woohoo!
You could say this is a mix of doing and learning because there's a theoretical that comes with our learning challenges, but you also have to get your hands slightly dirty, like in our doing challenges.
Doing dirty. Okay, sorry.
You had to go there.
Let's get into position. Get out your flash and exposure ready.
Well, we're talking about dirty.
Claire, get your mind off the gutter and focus.
Focus! Like Akumu said, Season 4 is about essential 21st century, highly desirable, sometimes highly marketable, and definitely highly useful skills that are deliberately chosen to inspire, educate, and entertain the 21st century success story. So for this episode, we have an expert, and we are also turning to the future.
That's right. We are turning to the Yes Girls, boys.
And everything in between.
Of the next generation. Yep. Actual boys and girls. Like in the literal sense of the word. Kids. We want to see what they have to say about the topics we have selected for this season. And you'd totally be amazed at the things kids pick up on.
Oh, yeah.
But also, they're fascinating because they usually display an optimism and curiosity that many of us mature, in quotes, mature people have lost somewhere along the way. Especially in the quagmire of puberty, taxes, responsibilities, and, trying to keep up with like TikTok. Claire.
Gosh, it's even more complicated than taxes, honestly. At least I can pay someone to do my taxes.
Exactly.
So we're actually surprised it's taken us this long to get around to this challenge, as it's such a basic requirement for the self-respecting millennial, right? Or just for any human engaging in the digital space. Mm-hmm. But it's something that, like many of the topics we cover, are grossly underestimated in terms of the skill and talent it takes to be even semi-good at it. But there are also so many shortcuts and tools out there to give the aspiring amateur photographer the ability to produce decent quality content for social media, family albums, and personal or professional projects. So before we get stuck in, let's speak to the wisest, most open-minded person in the room right now. No, not you, Sam.
And not me?
And not you, Akumu. And not even you, Rioba. It's our yes kid. Hey, so what's your name? Manuel. And how old are you?
11.
11?
Yeah.
And Manuel, what do you know about photography?
Taking pictures.
For what?
For display.
For display? Where?
In all over the country. Yeah, that's all I know.
And what do you think it's for? Why do people do it?
To have a career in it.
Oh, to have a career, so not just for fun.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think it's a good career?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you want to be a photographer?
Not sure.
Why?
I have other plans.
Oh, what do you want to be when you're older?
A pilot.
A pilot?
Yeah.
Wow. Flying
Planes.
airplanes. Wow. Okay. And what do you think it takes to be a good photographer? What do you think it takes?
You have to practice a lot.
Yeah. Like for how long?
Let's say 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't have 2 years.
I don't know.
Okay. So do you think I might be a good photographer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay, so that definitely is the wisest person, most open-minded person in the room right now. Maybe definitely out of all of us.
Oh yeah.
Kids really are the best at keeping us grounded and also helping us to dream.
But now let's turn to the person who is the wisest and most open-minded in this room when it comes to photography, and probably outside this room as well. Our guest expert. So now, Sam, it is you. So Kagz is a graphic designer, MC, photographer, actor, and aspiring filmmaker. You might have seen his work on TV and billboard adverts for Safaricom. That's Kenya's biggest telecom provider. And you'll definitely have seen his work on the Yes Girls logo.
Yes.
You can also see his photography work at his professional Instagram account. That's at Eterno, with an O, Concepts, Eterno Concepts. Or his personal Instagram, which is I am Kagz. And you can also find him on a day-to-day basis at his recently opened photography studio in Nairobi's Central Business District. Has alongside a makeup studio, Thee Glam Hub, so you can get your makeup done and then get some professional shots of you. Sounds like a plan, right?
Yep.
So
Sam, tell us a bit about your journey into, professional photography.
Thank you. Wow. What an intro. Oh, first of all, let's address the elephant in the room, which is my voice.
I thought you were talking about me.
No, my voice. No, I'm the elephant. I'm actually very, very big. Don't tell them about my size.
The camera adds 10 pounds to all of us. Not enough to make an elephant.
Yeah, but the elephant is my voice. See, I'm having this flu, this cold, so forgive me if you hear some M's that sounds like B. Like I can't say a kumbu. A kumbu.
Oh, it's the kumbu now.
It's a kumbu now.
We'll put subtitles.
At least Baker I can say.
I've got an easy name.
Oh, the journey has been amazing. Actually I started photography as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing me having a studio right now in Nairobi in the CBD, that's a whole big growth for me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially knowing the journey of phone photography, which is the topic today. It was the foundation of how I actually got into photography.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a beautiful journey, just getting to see the smiles that I create on people's faces. By people, I mean strangers, because they actually met you on the day of the shoot.
Nice.
And the many friends that I've created through my camera. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely experience.
I don't know if that was part of the flu or if that was the emotion coming through.
It was both.
So, Sam, can you remind us of some of the key pointers that you gave us? So as we were launching into this challenge, we sat down with you. You gave us a kind of cheat sheet of how to go about this challenge. So can you remind us, and it could help anyone out there, how to go about learning photography in the way that you framed it?
All right. So the key, let me say, it's a cheat sheet, right? And this cheat sheet is from someone who actually started as a phone photographer. So these are the things that I would consider when I was starting phone photography. First of all, clean your lens. Clean your lens.
That's true.
So and there's so many ways that you can clean your lens. You can use there are certain cloths that you can clean. The ones that you use on your specs. I'm talking of
like a microfiber
exactly
thing.
yeah
The specs
so
ones,
the specs ones, you can use your t-shirt. Definitely don't use your fingers. The reason why I say clean your lens, your camera, your phone lens is because you see there's a lot of things that happen. Maybe you're carrying your phone in your pocket, you had some lotion on your fingers, possibly when you're making a call you possibly put your index finger on your lens, so that of course can really ruin your focus. So that being the number one thing before you even take a photo, that's like a rule of thumb. Then make sure your camera is working. Get to learn your camera. How does it work? Because every phone camera works differently from one another. So their cameras are different. Some have multiple lenses. Some have single lenses. So get to learn your camera. And now when you go to composition, you'll get to learn how to compose a photo. So there are a few things I look at when I'm composing a photo. One is scenario. So I have to first use my eye, because your eye is the best photography equipment that you have with you that you don't have to buy. So first look for a good scenery that you can get, and then take photos. Take as many photos of different things that you see. At least that will help you get a gist of how photography is. Then one rule that I do, especially this I give it as a cheat sheet for everyone, because most people don't really know how to take a photo. Yes, you've cleaned your camera, or rather your lens, your phone lens. You have a good scenario that you want to take. Let's say maybe, for instance, you have a person you want to take a photo of. One simple rule is use the grid on your phone. So if you just go to your setting, there's a grid. There's a place you just activate grid. And then on the grid, it will have like 9 boxes that are very equal. I think when I say that, you already have it in mind. So the idea, what you're approaching is something called rule of thirds. So the grid, what the grid helps you to do is it helps you keep a photo in line. If, for instance, you're taking a horizon, you're able to know, is your photos in line? Is it straight? Is it tilted? So the grid actually helps you with that. Also, this is a beauty. This is like, this is the beauty of the photo. With the grid, you're able to compose a photo that looks professional. How you do it is these 3 boxes, these 9 boxes, there are places where the lines that drop from top to down intersect. So whatever you find that is interesting that you want to capture, say it's a person, maybe eating or dancing, make sure that they're somewhere where the lines intersect. That's the rule of thirds. So there's so many. Can I keep going?
Well, we can't cover
I think
all
one
of them.
more,
One more, and then we'll
composition or
share
editing.
all of these
One
on our
more.
show notes for sure.
One more that I really love to tell people is get your subject taken in an angle that nobody else has ever done that. In an interesting place. Yeah, it could be because every person, whenever you stand, like where we are standing, I can see a painting in front of me where I see it. But this painting, the same way I see it, is the same way everybody will see it in this room. So the idea for me to take this portrait in a way that is this photo of this painting to look interesting is to take a photo of it from an angle that nobody has ever decided to take it from. It could be maybe I'm picking it from down or top, or maybe slightly on the side. So whenever you do that, your photo doesn't look mediocre, doesn't look like any other photo that someone would see.
So we'll share all of these tips and the cheat sheet that you gave us, plus more, because you've just given us more tips that we didn't even know when we went into this challenge. I feel like we've been cheated.
It's a cheat. It's a cheat sheet.
A cheating cheat sheet. So we'll share them all in the show notes and on our social media, definitely.
So with these words of wisdom fresh in our minds, we set out it was a 2-week challenge. We were using specific apps. I think we figured out that we'll use Lightroom as the main editing app, and it's an app you can get on your phone.
Yeah. Lightroom and PixArt were the apps that you recommended to us, and there's some others that we'll put in the show notes. So yeah, week 1 would be scrubbing up on our skills. So that's learning the apps and the software, the more the theory behind what makes a great photo. So absorbing all of what Sam, a.k.a. Kagz, told us. I'm still getting used to it.
It is good. Still my name.
And then saving and bookmarking and pinning all of our favorite inspirational photos.
Yeah, and then week 2 now would be, the 7-day photo challenge, which Kagz was very happy to give us. And he came up with, now day 1 would be a self-portrait. And these are just themes. So we were open to interpret them the way we wanted. So day 1, self-portrait, day 2, shadow, day 3, my view, day 4, flat lay, day 5, hobby, day 6, building, and day 7, black and white.
And the best thing is, Kagz also decided to join us on this 7-day photo challenge. So if you want to actually follow our adventures kind of live as you listen, then if you open Instagram, go to the S Girls Instagram page, you can scroll down to our photo challenge results. They'll be there somewhere, or in our story highlights.
Okay, so enough theory. I want to hear how it went. So Claire, you want to begin?
Yes. One thing you have to know is that I am not a visual person. I don't mean that I'm not nice to look at, although that is sometimes true, very often true. But I mean that I often have trouble translating my ideas into anything of visual beauty, right? Anything that someone would look at and say, wow, that looks interesting. Words I can do, and ideas I have plenty of. And if I'm working alongside a designer or an artist, then together we can create something pretty nice. My life purpose is actually to create shared beauty. So go figure. I defined that with my coach. So I knew that I would not come out of this smelling of roses and certainly not looking like roses. But I knew that I would probably go from a 1 out of 10 to maybe like a 3 out of 10 or so. Kagz, you'll give us the ratings later. But if I paid attention and applied myself, then I would make some progress. I also, it must be known, did go through what every millennial seems to have gone through at some stage in their life, which is a photography phase. A period of time where I tried all sorts of artsy angles. I even got myself a pretty decent camera, secondhand off eBay, and figured out how to work with aperture and focus and all of that.
ISO.
And I took some photos that I was quite proud of. But then, as with many things that I try that are anything to do with visual arts, I experiment, I try each main new thing once, and then I plateau and I move on. And so now I mostly stick to boring run-of-the-mill photos. And so it was that when we had our pre-challenge call with Kagz, I was really inspired by his seemingly simple and actionable cheat sheet. These are things I could work with. So for the first week, I basically spent the whole time looking around, trying to see things from a different angle, or looking for interesting phenomena, flowers, or natural compositions, and basically trying to capture the world around me in a way that tells a story of some sort. Or, as he said earlier, looking for new ways of representing things that maybe everyone sees. So, for example, I'd go out for a run and, I do that quite regularly. And instead of just thinking of new ways to make the world a better place, none of my ideas are ever any good, by the way. But that's what I mostly do when I'm running. Or like focusing on my breathing or the pain in my legs. Instead, I would look at the world around me, and it was quite a welcome distraction, actually, almost like a form of meditation. It probably helps that this came hot on the heels of our yoga challenge from the previous episode. So then when it came to the week's photo challenge, I typically tried to be 1 or 2 days ahead of schedule. Yeah, I'm not one to embrace last minute panics, unlike someone I can mention.
I'm an expert.
We're very opposite in that way. We complement each other nicely. So I started pretty strong on what I considered to be creativity. But it was usually like trying to find a small novelty in the photo that I submitted for that day's challenge, rather than any complicated or truly artistic, complicated composition. What I did is I used a lot of photos that I'd taken the week before, as in during that week of theory, I was trying to, like, amongst the photos I was taking, and I was also thinking of ahead for the themes that I would need to take photos of. So I wasn't necessarily taking the photos on that day and publishing them that day for the challenge. Then I did kind of run out of steam a bit by the end. My photos got weaker, in my opinion. And one thing I failed at was I didn't really find an aesthetic as I hoped I might do with the filters and the presets, right? We talked about the Lightroom. So it has things called presets, which are kind of like filters, but not Instagram. So I understand and truly appreciate how someone like Kagz has a very distinct color palette and tone in his photos. So if you look at their timeline, for example, you can look at someone's profile and it looks consistent. It looks them, right? Like this is their aesthetic. I didn't really master this. Maybe that was ambitious to do in a week, considering that my photos are usually all over the place. So I think I did the first half of the challenge quite well, the theory, but carrying it over into practice was more of a struggle. And so in general, I would say I'm more of an appreciator of art and anything visual, but not a good visual artist, right? I'm not a good creator of visual content in that aesthetic way. However, credit to the Yes Girls as a concept and to Kagz. I did produce photographs that I didn't imagine that I could or ever would. Certainly not since my late teenage/early adulthood venture into artsy-fartsy photography, which at the time seemed like good photos, but in hindsight, they weren't that great anyway. And now after this challenge, I'm more sensitive to how I take photos and definitely take my time more when I want to get a really good photos. So instead of just looking at what I'm trying to photograph and just pointing and shooting, I, from where I'm standing, I'll actually move around a bit and think, okay, how else could I portray this? How could I show it differently or in an unusual way, or just a way that will look better on the photo as opposed to just how I'm seeing it? So believe it or not, just after this challenge, someone asked me if I could take the photos at an upcoming family event because I quote, "You take such nice photos." It doesn't matter what the event was or who was asking me, but that is the sort of validation that I need, even if it is just because I know about the iPhone portrait mode function.
Or you have an iPhone.
I have an iPhone. iPhone portrait mode is the best thing ever invented. And also because I think compared to a lot of people, maybe, through this challenge and also just in general, I know that sometimes it's not quantity, right? Just snapping away and taking millions of photos, but quality, right? Thinking and playing around before taking that money shot, that one shot.
So considering I'd been poking about on the internet for photo composition and Instagram tips back in 2018, I was when I was trying to grow my account, I was very specific about what I wanted to learn from this challenge. And it's kind of like tied to a couple of things. So Sam had shared amazing resources. So I started with that, of course, for the first week. And then I started outlining now my learning path. So I was focused on learning specifically camera setting, manipulation, because those are the things I think I learned back then and then I forget. I mean, I'd learned about ISO and then I forgot. I'd learned about, those shutter speed and all those things. So I had to relearn that. So I wanted to learn about that specifically. Composition again, just different kinds of composition and maybe just being more particular at it. I think before, when I'd read about it, it was more theory. So this was a cool way to do it very practically. And then most importantly for me, I think even 60% of the whole challenge for me was editing, figuring out the editing bit of everything. So my favorite tips, I think some from the YouTube channel, videos that the Kagz had given us. The tips came from, I think I'll name them just in case you guys want to go and find them. There's Zach Sopak, There was James Windsor, and then my all-time favorite. He's called Peter McKinnon. He's like a big wig. And I think all of them are big wigs for, photography stuff on YouTube, photography and video. And so specifically for camera settings, I'm kind of sharing my learnings. So anyone of you who wants to take notes, you can take some notes. So the key things I learned in terms of camera settings was, when the image comes out too dark, slow the shutter speed, lower the aperture, and raise the ISO. You can Google all those things, what they mean. When the image comes out too dark, then do the vice versa of that. In terms of composition, I think my favorite tips were, when you're looking at something, you blur your eyes a bit so that you can kind of focus on the color and kind of the setting. When you remove the detail, then you focus on the color and setting. So if you can be blurring your eyes before taking a photo, I think that's an interesting tip I learned. There was also, camera composition is part of the story. I think that Kagz had already told us as well. Just a different angle of the same thing makes that same thing that you've seen many times very unique. And then consider more about the what before you figure out the how. So this is what I think, Claire, you were talking about, just learning how to see the what's around you. I think sometimes, you can learn all you want about editing, but if you don't even know how to capture the right scene, then, that's something else. You need to be able to know to figure out the best what possible. And the last one, this is my favorite tip. Composition is part of editing. That was like mind blown. Yeah. So I think just like Kagz told us, if you compose it perfectly, I think more than half of the work is done, right? Yeah. And then for editing, like we said, we're using Adobe Lightroom. And on my phone, I've only used all along. I've always had Lightroom on my phone, but I only use contrast. That's the only editing I used to do on my photos. So I really wanted to learn new tricks. So the first week I was very particular about learning about, correction, something called color grading. There's also color correction. Yes. And then there's also something called finishing. All these technical terms. They're like part of a menu that I never used to touch. But now for this challenge, I was very, very eager to touch on them. And that's pretty much what I did for most of the days. So I think, Claire, you'd taken most photos on the week before, right? For me, I was taking photos mostly on the day or probably the day before. So if it's day one, then I'd take the photo that day. And I was happily in Kisumu, so I had lots of time to do these things. So it was definitely a fun week. And here's a general summary of the challenges I faced or the things I learned during the entire challenge. So for day one, self-portrait. I think for that one, I had to download a burst mode app. The way you're alone and you don't have someone to take your photo. So you need to have an app that can take 50 photos while you're, manipulating yourself in the whatever pose you've chosen. So that was an interesting trial. I got an app that can do that. So that was interesting for me. That's a new thing I've never done before. Second learning was that Canva is a very powerful image editor. I usually use it for social media graphics, but I actually used it for one of the shadow day, where I was manipulating a shadow. The other learning was my view. So I loved the view, the day we were doing my view, because there's no human person involved in that photo. So you can manipulate it as much as you want. You're not changing someone's skin color or race. And I figured out I really love landscape editing because you can really go all out. You can change the sky to be purple. You remember the Kagz you were saying. I think one of your photos you changed it to be green, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Your sky was you can go beyond reality, and I loved that. I think I also watched a video by someone called Scott Kelby. He had amazing landscape editing tips. I think I watched something more stuff. I think someone called Lucy Martin and Anthony Gigliotta. We'll put all these things on the show notes. Yeah, and then for the flat lay, I think that was possibly the most intensive day ever, because I literally spent an hour arranging the things I was putting on the flat lay, and another hour taking photos and editing the arrangements of all those things. So it was literally a 2.5 hour thing to do. And then the last learning was, so I tested something called double exposure effect. I can't remember what that is because we did this weeks ago. You can Google that. And then I think that was for the black and white theme day. And I think I also used vignette. Is it called vignette or vignette? Yeah, that one. It's one of those French words, right? Yeah, so I think those two were very unique things that I learned, especially through this challenge. So all in all, I'm very happy that I was able to learn how to, use the rest of the 80% of Lightroom better. Yeah, so it was a cool challenge.
So Sam, now we want to know how you think we did. As you can tell from our little segments there, this challenge was obviously heavier on the visual than the audio during the challenges. So you can judge us more off the photos that you saw. You saw the raw and edited photos. You got the behind the scenes view there. But you can also use what we said to give us your ratings, but we really want to know how you think we turned your expert advice and guidance into some practicable learnings and some more average than other photos.
Okay, me first of all, I want some cut. Someone used my knowledge and started to earn out of it.
We wish.
You didn't earn.
Oh no, sadly not yet.
Not yet. Coming soon. Watch this space.
No, that's a problem now. You see, you first have to do a lot of pro bono, Claire, before you get paid.
I don't think anyone's paying for my photos. Not gonna
Hey,
lie.
that family member could pay.
Yeah, I'm talking about that family member. Did they pay you?
I got paid in cake, I guess.
Good enough.
But yeah,
It's
I
better
was
than
not
nothing.
paid for the gig. I'll be talking. This is to the person who asked me to take the photos for that event. I want my payment
Yeah. Maybe
in cash.
in cake.
in cash,
In cake.
not exposure. Pun intended. Those ones who know photography know what you're talking about. I really would say that you did amazing, Claire. If actually they were family members and they never thought you would actually do photography until they saw the challenge and how you did it, and they were like, wow, maybe you should hire her for cake payment. It shows you actually did something good. I think for me, when I chose this challenge, it was also a challenge for me. Let me just say this. And you ladies are amazing, and you give me a run for my money.
Okay, so you need to pay us.
Well, if you think about it that
Sidebar.
way. Yeah, sidebar. But I really enjoyed it. And I think one of the things that I kept telling my wife was like, I feel like this was like prey being eaten by it was a vice versa, and there's a predator and there's prey. So I was like, whoa, I just became the prey and they became the predators because I just created some monsters. You ladies did amazing. I particularly loved how we all began. Your first portraiture, self-portrait. It was self-portrait, the first challenge.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your photo, Claire, and I couldn't even, as a photographer, I couldn't even tell what happened. How did you shoot this? Because I would see, well, how did she actually have a phone? And see, I couldn't actually decipher the whole thing. I was like, I even had to text you, how did you take this photo? And that's the beauty about photography, because if a photo doesn't tell a story, well, maybe it's just not good enough.
Exactly,
Yeah. I also liked Akumu's photo. It was very creative. I actually thought somebody took a photo of you. So I was like, you cheated. But just hearing that you did that using an app, you should tell us which app that is.
I think it's called Bus Mode, if I'm not wrong.
Ah.
Yeah. I think if you just search burst mode on Play Store, you'll find a lot of apps that can do that.
And that was amazing. Then we went for shadows. I feel like for the reason I'm saying that it was interesting is because some of these challenges were very unique. None that you would use the same rules over the other. And I know we had given you a cheat sheet, but every time you'd approach a photo, you know that the rules I used on yesterday's challenge, I can't use them today. I remember one time I posted a black and white photo and Claire was like, it's not black and white day.
Not black and white day, you're not allowed.
I think it was like day 3 or 4. And black and white is like day 7.
Yeah.
Actually, I used it on day 1 when I put my portraiture
Oh yeah,
on a
that's
ring
true.
light.
That's true.
And she was like, I told her, you know what? I made the rules.
I can bend them.
I can bend them. And that's another thing about photography. I liked how you guys bended the rules as much as, and you see, you have to learn a rule so that you're able to know how to break it. And you ladies, the fact that I would see you break the rules and get playful with them, that was amazing. One rule that I find like you ladies broke was, yes, we had talked about the rule of thirds, but their photos were taken dead center. But you can tell it's dead center with a purpose. It's not just a dead center that ilichukuliwa tu. Someone just took a photo dead center and never thought about it. I could see the creative process that is there. I liked particularly your photo when we did the hobby. Was it hobby?
Yes, the hobby.
And Claire decided to take an angle that we've never seen her.
That's true. That was a very new angle.
That was a really new angle. I would never have thought it in terms of portraiture.
Actually, I've never seen a pole in that angle.
I've never seen
it was from down, right?
It was from down.
It was from down, yeah.
You want to know that I took that photo by accident?
Like your phone fell and took.
No, I was trying to take a video and trying to say like, okay, let's see what comes on the screen when I put the photo. Anyway, let me not reveal
It was
my
perfect.
secret.
You can just pretend, I planned it.
Totally planned. Took me ages.
This was your time to shine.
No, it was an accident.
But you see, that also happens that sometimes you can take something out of accident and you're like, wow, that was awesome. So you have to have that eye of creativity to see something. And I feel like one of the best things and the biggest takeaway for me in the years of photography is also seeing beauty in the mundane. Like something may look very ugly and then you just see the beauty in it. It could be a trash can, but maybe the way you took that trash can, everybody can believe this is actually a trash can. So you guys, I feel like the challenge was so awesome. Many times you thrashed me. Even being a professional in this, I'd be like, wow. Particularly, I also loved your photo where the black and white challenge, the last one where she did a flower.
Yeah, and it looked like a lake, actually. When I just saw it, it looked like a lily on a water.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a lily.
Yes.
No, I just tried some...
Accidentally.
No, that was... give me some credit, Juana.
That one was planned.
That one, I went on a run and I think I ended up running about 400 meters because I just kept stopping like, I took photos of everything from different angles. I almost got run over, almost got bitten by a dog taking that flower photo. I took many, like trying to get, because when you're trying to take something so close up, right, you need to really, it needs to be high definition enough, but not, you can't just take anything or you can tell. Yeah. But yeah, I did try and still wasn't that great.
How it was.
But I did try.
Have you seen those photos on Instagram where they do some reels and they're like, what you see?
Yeah.
And what is behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So
yes.
I imagine Claire bending down just to get that lily and maybe people around you are like, what is she doing?
The self-portrait one, you don't want to know the positions that I had. The person holding the phone.
No?
No, I was. For the
that's
that
the
was
other
lay
one.
flat.
for the noughts and
That was
crosses
flat
one,
lay,
for the
yes,
flat lay,
yes.
I was sitting on top of my car, surrounded by all the kids from my neighborhood, and Saxo taking a photo of me.
Yeah, that back behind the scenes was chaotic.
We'll post.
You
some of those
need
as
to
well.
actually post them and actually the unedited photos so that people can be able to see what Akumu is mentioning about photo editing. Because I think if anything, Akumu beat you in.
Yes.
Was photo editing.
Hands down.
Yeah, no, you know who beat who. So Akumu beat you on photo editing. I particularly loved every photo she did. Like she did expect it. It's the flu. There's a word I'm looking for, but the flu just blocked me. Exceptional. So it was, every photo had thought to it also, like, and I could tell even if she did it accidentally, fell to it. Because when I told her about double exposure, she was like, "Oh, it's called double exposure."
Oh yeah, that's that. But you told me about it, and then I ended up using it at the very last day.
Yes.
Now I still can't remember what that was.
But that was awesome. Like how you tweed it together, your photo, and also there was that the view.
Oh God, that was Kisumu.
Was sunrise
Yeah.
or sunset?
Yeah, sunset.
It looked amazing.
The original photo was very
The
ugly.
original photo was just boring. But the
ugly.
photo after the
meh.
editing, it was sublime.
You see, that's what happens when you learn how to edit a photo. You can take a photo from a 0 to a 10 very fast. So also, I liked your angle when we took a building, and that was like your best try on editing because you made the building
The
blue.
purple.
It
It was
Yeah.
purple or blue. Depends on
Yeah.
your phone, eh?
Yeah.
How was it on the iPhone? Was it purple or blue?
It was blue, yeah.
Yours?
But I guess it was indigo.
It was purple. It was purple on my phone.
Or your eyes.
Yeah. So I liked it. I felt like Claire on that one, you actually nailed it.
I was just trying to copy a couple.
But you did awesome.
Yeah, you stepped out of the box. With that.
Yes, and
I loved it.
It looked so good. It looked like a curve.
Which building is that?
It was
Nation Center, no?
the Oval. Was it the Oval in Westlands?
In Westlands. Ah, okay.
So if you had to give us ratings out of 10 overall, I think we've established that we each had strengths. Akumu had more strengths than me. How would you give us a rating out of 10?
Only on editing. But your compositions were very good. So I feel like Akumu, the only thing that she stepped up, and you had actually told us that one disclaimer is that she didn't know anything about even Pinterest. Who doesn't know Pinterest?
Yeah, that was shocking.
That was really shocking.
I mean, I know it exists.
Oh my God, you're missing out. You're missing
I
out.
was like, really? So she learned a lot. I feel like you really had a lot to learn. And like Akumu, who now I know she has a history of even trying to learn photography before. So for you, I'd give you a 5.
I'll take it. I'll take 5.
I'll give Akumu at a 6.
Thank you.
She was like, yeah. And of course, I'd give myself
10.
Can we add the scale?
Like
No.
you, like a point something. Or what?
Like
Like it's
scale between 1 to a bigger number than 10. So I can be
I mean,
accommodated.
you can, but we'll fire you as the expert for making us look bad.
But anyway, I also, as I said, I also learned from you guys. So I know I also saw some things and I would be like, you can actually do better than this. Because I was, I was doing it also almost like last minute. After you guys have posted, I'm like, whew. So maybe I think that was advantageous for me because I would see how you guys have posted. I'm like, I need to go harder. I need to go harder than the two of them.
So, Sam, what do you have to say to anyone out there who wants to improve their photography, maybe get more than a 5 or a 6? Maybe they've tried but given up, or maybe they want to start from scratch. What words of wisdom would you have to share with them?
I tell them to try. Keep trying. And see, there's no way, there's nothing that starts from the top. Anything that starts from the top, it's just a pit. So learn to appreciate every single growth. Like if you're listening to this, I think the best testimony is hearing these girls say how they were work in photography. And now one of them is already earning. She has a business card. So
And she's called, actually,
Stop it.
wait, I have a very good pun. You're called Baker and you are paid in cakes.
oh,
Yeah, but
Nice.
I'll be paid for anything in Kagz, not just photography. No, guys, I was not paid. Okay.
She was paid.
Yeah,
We
you're
all know
paid in
that.
Kagz.
We all know that. So I'd say this, that take your camera. The good thing is there's somebody who said that the best camera is the one that you have in your hand. And what you have in your hand is your phone. Keep capturing moments, keep doing it. One pointer that I need maybe to put across even as I say this is look at how other people are capturing images, try to replicate. Maybe that is going to also help you see how people compose photos. Keep sharing them. The good thing right now, you don't have to take photos and don't have anywhere to share. You have Instagram. You can create actually even what people don't know. You see, Eterno Concepts was not a page I ever thought would be about photography, because I never envisioned myself ever owning a studio that I do today. So for me, it was a page where people can come and interact with my phone photography. That was the whole idea.
So just a hobby page.
It was a hobby page. If you scroll down to the very first post, which is actually a phone that I had taken. Let me just show you. Then people can be able to see. Maybe it's lost. But if you just scroll down, you'll find it was just a phone photography page. I used to just take photos. I would see a chameleon and take for no good reason, no story or anything. So keep shooting. And if my page is, or my story is enough to encourage you to push yourself, then do it. Because I feel there's nothing that is not possible if you put your everything into it.
I think that's the yes girl attitude.
Nice. And your own Instagram?
My own Instagram is I am Kagz, at I am Kagz. You forgot to mention I'm Safaricom's brand ambassador. Maybe people don't know that.
You are. I see you on billboards and social media all the time, and I'm like, I know him.
Free airtime.
I see you see me.
So if you want to find him, you know where to find him. And I can tell you that any of the photos that I have of me where I look semi-decent, I think you're the one who's taken the photos.
And if you want to learn more about our photography challenge experiences, you can, and our cheat sheet, the ones that we used, and our show notes, everything you want to learn about how we did this challenge, you can find us on Instagram at Yes Girls Podcast, but anywhere else as well at Yes Girls Podcast.
Want to know the easiest way to be a yes girl or boy or anything in between right now in just a few minutes? It's an easy do, be, learn approach. Let's start with do. Simply subscribe to the podcast. Whether you're listening on AfriPods or anywhere else, you can subscribe now or follow us, and that way you won't miss any new episodes, and it helps more people discover the show.
And for the be, this one is very easy. Just be a sharer. Share everything or anything you've learned. Everything you've learned about in this episode on social media. And don't forget to tag us at Yes Girls Podcast. We'll show you some love once you do. And if you want to tag each of us, that's at Akumu Fiona, at Half Baked Claire, and at I am Kagz.
And finally, for the learn, what's your biggest takeaway from this episode, the season, or the podcast? Don't keep it to yourself. Spread that learning with others by leaving us a rating on Spotify or an actual review in a couple of sentences wherever you're listening to us from, whichever platform. So that's the simple do, be, learn approach that you can say yes to in just a couple of ticks after we're done here.
And if you don't already follow us, again, this is becoming a broken record, at Yes Girls Podcast. We are waiting for you to follow us. You'll find behind the scenes footage, resources, images, everything you want to know about how and why we do be and learn.
And if you have any ideas for what we should say yes to in the future, or maybe you have ideas for collaborations or sponsorship, then reach out to us on any of those platforms. We don't need to repeat it. We could look at our production team all day. That's Sampisha Productions out of Snowball Studios, along with Ernest and Rioba. We will be zooming in on Ped O'Brien, who composed our theme song, and we could dedicate a whole gallery to Manuel, our yes kid, for this episode. And of course, we got the money shot with you, Kagz, not only our logo and brand designer, but also our expert for this episode. We thank you.
Thank you very much. And not forgetting, you make a dang pretty picture. You who are listening, yes, boys, girls, and everything in between. Thank you for listening, and thank you for turning our podcast experiment into something we are proud and passionate about. That's it for today's episode. We are done, and we never need to take another photo ever again.
But we need to take a photo with Kagz before he goes, so don't leave before we get at least one more photo, and then no more photos for the rest of our lives.
We'll see you all in the next episode, where we get pretty much or very much into a new challenge, and we actually get our hands dirty, like literally.
More than just our hands. It's very much a doing episode, and you don't want to miss it. So see you in 2 weeks with me, Claire.
And me, Akumu.
And you.
And together we are
the Yes Girls.
The Yes Girls and boy.
And boy. Just for today. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.